Welcome back to the Broad Street Sports Podcast featuring Zachary Chavy, and today I'm just going to give a little recap on what I've missed the past couple weeks. So I've been on a hiatus ever since I recorded the interview with the basketball team. By the way, congratulations on them and beating Roman again, actually, for the state. So it was just great for the school, great for the community. And they're just a great team they had this year, and they deserve to win it. They deserve to win it all. But first, I'm going to get into March Madness, which I know I didn't really get an introduction into this, but I know I missed a lot of it. But just overall, the tournament itself, I think it was pretty good overall. I felt like every team, like the teams that are where they are now, deserve to be there. There was a couple teams that just really choked, like especially Duke over the weekend against Houston. They really had a chance to get themselves to the national championship, and they just choked down the stretch. And Houston's defense, which is one of the best in the nation, just prevailed when it mattered most. But overall in the tournament, there's been a lot of great stories, like Walter Clayton, who will be playing tonight for Florida against Houston. He's been a bucket, and he's definitely risen his draft stock throughout the weeks, just playing great basketball, averaging close to 30 points per game every night. He's been Florida's best player, and he's the reason why they're in the national championship tonight. But overall, teams like Duke, like I said, I had them in the championship. And some other teams that just really, I felt like, just played well. Like, for example, Arkansas. They had John Calipari, Kentucky's old coach. They came in as a 10 seed and knocked off 2 seed St. John's. A lot of people had going pretty far in the tournament. At least the Elite Eight they knocked them out in the second round, and they just were a great overall team. And there was a lot of great players who were already supposed to be draft picks. Just raised the roof even more and helped them get to the draft stock they needed to overall. But just it's been a great tournament overall, and I'm really excited to see how it ends here tonight. But I'm just gonna give a quick recap of the Final Four, the most recent games. Like, we had Florida and Auburn. This was a close game, back and forth. But then Florida just pulled ahead in the very end, and a couple clutch buckets from Walter Clayton. Auburn tried, but I mean, Florida's just been a great team this year, and they were the 1 seed for a reason. This is just a great overall team, great coach team, so they deserve to be where they are, like I said. And then the Houston and Duke game, Duke controlled most of the game for a while, and everyone thought it was just going to be an easy Duke win to the national championship to face Florida. But Houston's defense in the second half was insane and incredible. They were just coached perfectly, and their 1 minute defense against Duke, forcing the turnovers they did, and the inbounds were just insane in my opinion. But overall, Houston deserves to be in this game because they wanted it at the end of the day, and Cooper Flagg did end up missing, which probably would have been the game-winning shot. But overall, you can't really put that on him. He had 25 points, and he's been one of the best players in the tournament this entire time. But overall, just like I said, great tournament so far, and I'm excited to see how it ends tonight, which we do have. It's Florida and Houston in the national championship. Tip is supposed to happen around 8:50 p.m. tonight. Overall, I do think Florida is going to win this game. Like I said, Walter Clayton has been, I feel like, the star of this tournament, and I think he's going to raise it even more to a higher level. I think he at least gets 25 points tonight. He could get more, and I think it's Houston's. It's going to be tough to stop him, I think, in my opinion, and I think he's going to be the main factor. And Florida's size is just great, and their overall offense and defense, it's really hard to stop, and the reason they got there is because of their offense. Their offense is one of the best in the nation, and Houston's defense is one of the best in the nation. So it's going to be interesting to see when we get to that part of the quarter, like when Florida's on offense and Houston's on defense, when their best defenders and best guards and wings and guards, like I said, are on for Florida. It's going to be interesting to see, but overall, like I said, I have Florida winning this game by the score of 71-67. I think it's going to get into the 70s. A lot of people don't think it is, but I think it's just going to get into the 70s, and Florida will win 71-67. So, moving on to the MLB. The season's been all right so far. The biggest story I feel like so far has been the talk of the torpedo bats and how home runs are just getting knocked out of the park. And people at first thought it's the torpedo bats, but I honestly think it might be due to juice balls, because if you really think about it, not many players are using these torpedo bats, and most of these players who aren't using them are the ones hitting a bunch of these home runs. Like Aaron Judge, first weekend of the season, hit 3 home runs in one game. Mike Trout has been hitting one pretty much every night, and just overall, it's been like homer happy teams this year. There's just been runs. I feel like you barely see like a good, like I've only seen like actual one or two good outings out of a pitcher. Like I think there's only been one complete game so far, which it's very hard to do throughout the season. But usually you see pitchers prevail during the early in the season. But it's mostly been about the offense. For the Phillies in general, they're 7-2 right now. They just had a great series win against the Dodgers, where Jesus Luzardo has been great so far in his first two games as a Philly. He just completely shut out the Dodgers offense on Friday night, and JT had a couple clutch had a couple clutch plays on Ohtani, especially. Like he caught him on running to second. But just overall, in my opinion, I felt like the Phillies, they're all right now. I mean, I don't like how a lot of people had them winning the World Series at the beginning of before the season started. I feel like this team still has a lot of things they need to work out before they can really call themselves like a World Series contender. I feel like they still are, but I feel like this is their last chance to really do it, and I feel like there's still a lot of things they got to work out. Like, I know it's early in the season, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, though, there's some mental errors that they hopefully can clean up throughout the season, or I don't know how it's going to resolve for them, but overall, they're playing good baseball right now, and like I mentioned, the Yankees, the Cubs, Kyle Tucker's been a great addition for the Cubs so far. He's tied right now for the lead in home runs with 5 right now, so overall, the Cubs have been solid, and the biggest story, I feel like, in my opinion, has been the NL West. The Giants have been great. The Dodgers, they're going to be a powerhouse. They just get better and better every year, and they just have looked solid. But they just lost to the Phillies over the weekend, like I said, but they kept every game close, and it was pretty much down to the wire. And then the Padres, they're a solid team, and they just have young guys like Jackson Merrill who just got paid. So, but overall, I'm excited on how the season's going so far, and I'm excited to see how the rest of the season goes because still got a lot of season ahead, but it's going to be interesting to see what teams can prevail as we go throughout the season and what teams are really just like pretenders right now, just playing good baseball at the beginning of the season. So moving on to the NFL, the draft is right around the corner, and the biggest story I feel like in the past couple of days is now with Julio Jones retiring. It pretty much has shown that the 2010 receivers are like the receivers of the older age generation just are going back and are just going down one by one, pretty much just retiring and setting the new age for these receivers to take charge. And it's been like that for a while now, and I feel like Julio Jones was like the final stone to everything and all in that. But overall, the biggest story I think right now is the draft. The draft is right around the corner. It's the 24th through the 26th in Green Bay. I'll probably be able to upload a mock draft either sometime this week or next week, and then I'll obviously be doing a draft live stream. I just got to figure out everything on that part. But overall, I'm excited for it. It's going to be a good draft in my opinion. This is the first draft in a while, though, with it being the first pick. Like, after the first pick, there's no idea, I feel like, what's going to happen. And the first pick hasn't even been set in stone. I feel like the Titans are pretty set on Cam Ward, but they haven't officially confirmed it yet, but I feel like it's a good sign it will happen. But overall, I'm excited for it. There could be a lot of good things to happen, especially for the Eagles. I mean, just overall, we're going to have the 32nd overall pick, but it's going to be interesting to see if Harry Roseman moves up because he knows that he needs to just keep hitting on drafts because that's what's keeping this team successful overall. And if he keeps hitting on the draft picks, then they're going to be good for a while. But overall, like I said, just excited for the draft. And once I get into some more research on it, I'll probably be able to upload a mock draft either sometime this week or next week. But overall, moving to the NHL, the biggest story right now, without a doubt, is Ovechkin breaking Wayne Gretzky's record. He officially did it yesterday against the Islanders. They did lose, but Ovechkin was able to break the record, and I feel like it's just great for the sport now. He's one of the most likable players, I think, in my opinion, in the game today, and for him to do it, it's just great. It would have been nice for him to do it in front of the home crowd, but now with a Capitals team that is so good right now and might finish with the best record in the NHL, he has a chance not only to break the record, but I feel like to win the Stanley Cup championship this year because the Capitals are a really good team. And they just have a bunch of guys you don't really know about, but play really great hockey. Like their goalie, Charlie Lindgren, he's just one of the most solid goalies in the league right now. And not many people know about him. And going into the season, I did not expect the Capitals to be this good. But to be 49-19-9 is just insane in my opinion. So, but overall, it's been interesting to see. Like, we've seen a team like Boston trade their franchise player and Brad Marchand to the Florida Panthers. Now they're last place in the Atlantic Division. And we haven't seen this in a while, but it's just there's times where teams know they have to blow it up, and I think Boston's realized that at a point. Should be interesting to see, though, if they do anything with Pastrnak this offseason after just signing him to a huge contract 2 years ago. So it's very interesting in my opinion. And just overall in the Western Conference, I feel like it's the same teams. The Jets, Stars, Avalanche, they're always teams that make the playoffs, and then the Golden Knights and the Kings. And you never know what you're going to get out of the Oilers, the reigning Western Conference champions, who almost won the championship last year, almost made a historic comeback against the Florida Panthers, the reigning Stanley Cup champions. And McDavid's just going to raise the bar even higher once he gets in the playoffs. But I'm excited for some playoff hockey. We got a few games left in the season, and it should be interesting to see because I really enjoyed how the playoffs went last year, and I'm even more excited for what's to come this year. So moving on to the final thing I want to talk about, the NBA. This just like the NHL, the playoffs are right around the corner. For example, the Sixers, they got 4 games left. At this point, I'm just hoping they lose them. It's been a tough season for them, but with injuries and all these type of questions and all this type of drama, in my opinion, I feel like this now just moved to a direction point where it's got to be the point where I feel like you have to trade Embiid this offseason. It's time to start a new era, and he just can't be part of it anymore. I feel like you've given him way too many years. He's had way too many co-stars and stuff like that, and he's just can't stay healthy, or he just doesn't prevail to the moment. And overall, for the Sixers, I'm hoping they can lose out a couple more games and then have a chance at getting the number 1 pick, and they can at least keep their pick and not give it to the Thunder. That'd be great. But I hope they can get the number 1 pick because I feel like Cooper Flagg, he's just a generational talent. He's the type of player that could turn this franchise around. I know that you already have a franchise player in Tyrese Maxey, but to get him with Tyrese, Jared McCain, Justin Edwards, if you re-sign Gershon Yabusele, Quentin Grimes has been a great addition. Hopefully they re-sign him in the offseason. They have a young core. It's just how they want to assess everything and what they want to do with Paul George. Because if I'm them, trade Embiid. Just trade for what you can get at this point. You've made the mistake of keeping him longer than you had to, and now you got to bear the consequences of it. And just decide what you want to do with Paul George, and then build this roster young so they can develop, gain that team chemistry, and then maybe be a championship contender in a year or two. Because I don't feel like if they trade Embiid, they don't have to go full tank. They can recoup the assets, make good draft picks, and be right back at it in a year or two. So, but overall in the NBA as a whole, the Thunder have been great. The Cavs, they've been surprised this season. I knew they were going to be good. I didn't think they would be this good. In my opinion, like I mentioned with the Thunder, I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the MVP. If they give it to Jokic at this point, it would just make no sense. He's already got, 2-3 MVPs, and I feel like Shai's just been the best player in the league this year. He's averaging the most points in the game. He's up there in all these categories. He's just been the best overall player, I feel like, in the league this year, and he's been able to carry the Thunder to another great season and possibly a season where it could get them to the NBA Finals. And the Lakers, with getting Luka Doncic, him and LeBron and Austin Reeves and all these other players have been able to build team chemistry like that, and the Lakers have become one of the best teams in the West like that. And in such a competitive West, to be able to build team chemistry that quick with such a big acquisition that they made, I feel like it's great. And just overall, the Lakers, they're a threat in the playoffs, already with LeBron, but with having Luka Doncic next to him and the way Austin Reeves has been able to develop into a player this year, the Lakers are scary. The Nuggets are going to give you a tough series, and the Rockets, they've been amazing this year. Jalen Green has stepped up his game. Fred VanVleet's been great. Ahmed Thompson has been good. Alfred Sengun, they just have a great roster overall, and Rockets basketball is back, so it's going to be exciting to watch in the playoffs. And the Western Conference is always tough played, so it's going to be a great playoffs on that side. And then for the East, you had the Cavs who've been great, the reigning champion Celtics. They're going to be tough to beat. And then you got the Knicks, who haven't been able to beat these top teams but still sit at third in the East, so I'm really be interested to see. You got the Pacers, who I just don't think are as good as they were last year. You got the Bucks. I feel like their first round exits, with the injury to Dame and the history of Doc Rivers, I just don't feel like they'll be able to prevail. And then the Pistons have been a great surprise this year. Cade Cunningham has completely elevated his game to one of the best players in the league, if not one of the best point guards. He easily has been, I think, the most improved player in the game. And overall, looking at the other playing teams, the Magic, the Hawks, the Bulls, the Heat, I'm disappointed in the Magic. The season they had last year was great, and now I know and they got overall a better roster. They upgraded with KCP, and they just really haven't been a good team this year. So, but like I said, overall, I'm excited for the playoffs, both the NBA, NHL. It's going to be exciting to see. We're in a great time of sports right now. But other than that, that's going to wrap up today's episode. Just wanted to hop back on here and give an update because I know I haven't been recording in a while. I've just been busy and all that kind of stuff. But other than that, that's going to wrap up today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day. And enjoy the national championship tonight between Houston and Florida.